Something I think that Netflix doesn't get enough credit for is the diversity in content. The streaming landscape has become so much bigger in the past year, with other studios launching their own streaming platforms to get in on a market that Netflix was the only company who ran the space, which competed not only with TV but also cinemas. Because of their global reach around the world, they aim to give just about every demographic something to enjoy, and one area that Netflix has heavily invested in is anime. Just last year, they announced over a dozen new series from a number of high-profile animation studios based in Japan. This collaboration would create new original content for the streamer, with some being new IPs, as well as popular IPs most people within the anime space would be familiar with in some form. Now, one of the shows that I had my eye on from the presentation was High-Rise Invasion, and that is what we're going to be discussing today. So, let's get into it. High-Rise Invasion is based on a manga written by Suina Miura and illustrated by Takahiro Oba. Now, I haven't managed to read the manga as yet, since I've decided to put it off until I finish binging the show. But it's good that the series is completed, so when I pick it up I can finish the whole story. High-Rise Invasion follows high school student Yuri Hanjo, who finds herself lost in what is known as an abnormal space, a world that consists mainly of skyscrapers and suspension bridges. Within the world, humans are faced with masked figures who are tasked with hunting down people and driving them into giving up their humanity by ending their lives. Yuri has to do whatever it takes to survive and reunite with her brother, while desperately trying to find a way back home and out of this twisted nightmare of a world. The show starts off with that simple premise, but as we get more into it, there's a lot more going on that involves the masked people who serve as the show's antagonist and in some cases allies. What it evolves into really changed my initial thoughts on the show and made me quick to binge through all 12 episodes within 2 days. Seriously, the mythology and everything behind the mask and the whole purpose of the world is just brilliant storytelling. Okay, let's just get this out of the way early. This is very much an adult series, filled with non-stop action and gore. Every episode someone is certain to lose a limb, or worse, their life. Which brings me to my one gripe, and it's the blood. I don't find it excessive, just a bit fake, by the way it's animated at times. Some scenes the splatters look so dull, while others it's just perfect for the amount of violence this show portrays. Another thing is the fan service. At first it seems like they shine away from it, but then they go all out, and the show becomes fixated on panty shots. Surprisingly, it adds so much to the show in terms of the comedy, and comes across far less weird than I thought it would. So, be prepared for gags and panty shots galore. Now this show really is amazing, and the first sign of a good anime is of course not just the characters and plots, but also a really catchy opening theme song. It's what gets you pumped up before the episode starts. Well, unless you're someone who skips openings. For this show I couldn't, because this opening just perfectly captures what the show is about, even though there are a few spoilers as to some of the major players within the show. The opening theme, Hanon, is sung by Japanese idol group Empire. They really do a brilliant job, as well as the animators who worked on animation. Okay, so this show not only manages to crush it with the opening, but also the ending. That's no easy feat. Even some major anime series get only one of the two right. This manages to get both. So the ending, unlike the opening theme, which focuses on the whole cast, the ending only showcases two of the show's most badass characters who have a long-standing relationship with each other before the events of the show. The ending My Name is Blue is sung by Have a Nice Day. Okay, I've gushed more than enough about the show's music. Let's move on. As I've said earlier, characters play an important part in making an anime good. This show delivers on a bunch of characters. The main heroine and our POV character for most of the show, Yuri, is lovable. Her transformation into a badass is pretty quick, but it just shows her ability to adapt, even to a crazy situation like the one she is tossed into. Her determination to reunite with her brother shows a deeper bond between the two that the show doesn't really delve into, but you can't help get behind the character. She's far more capable than she seems, and becomes the driving force which unites other people into forming an alliance and formulating a plan to escape out of the hellish nightmare world, whose rules they have been forced to play by. She is not having it. I love that with everything she has to face right from the start, and later on the show, that she is still able to be selfless and aloof. This is what draws people to her, including the next character I'll talk about shortly. Okay, so next up is Maiko Nisei, another high school girl. This show has plenty of high school girls. Maiko is Yuri's first ally and an absolute badass, especially with a knife. She's the most willing to kill and do whatever it takes to protect Yuri. She also has one of the more intense relationships in the show. Ever since meeting Yuri, she's become almost devoted to her, to the point it seems like her feelings towards her is more than just loyalty. Rounding out Yuri's group is Kuwan Shinzaki, the third high school girl in the show, who has the ability to ward off the enemy with her special ability, which makes her one of the most powerful people on the show, but also a target. She's the most peaceful of the trio, and the one who is the least keen on violence. Joining her is one of the masked people, Sniper Mask. This guy is pretty cool. Just his attitude and his whole aesthetic really stands out, to make him a unique character. The mystery surrounding his past, especially his relationship with Yuri's brother, makes him a compelling character, especially seeing his change in his allegiances and his growing bond with Kuwan. His growth as a character throughout the show is one of my favorite arcs. Speaking of his relationship with Kuwan, I absolutely ship these two together. It's clear from their first meeting that she has a crush on Sniper Mask, which only grows the more time they spend together. It's beautiful, seeing her sweet nature affecting him as a person and making him less stoic. The final character who completes the main cast is Yuri's older brother, Rika. He is equally compelling as Sniper Mask. His intellect makes him a formidable opponent, who is able to get out of some sticky situations, and his weapon being a sledgehammer makes for some great action scenes. Seeing him swing it around and face opponents with far more deadlier weapons and just hold his own against them. Yeah, this guy is up there in terms of skills. Now the villains of the show are the various masks that appear. As the name suggests, they wear a mask, which give them enhanced abilities, but with the risk of losing their humanity and becoming puppets, set on one sole task, forcing people into despair and eventually death. I really enjoy whenever they make an appearance, because their presence raises the stakes and they are just wacky, especially since each mask has one single ability or theme that defies them. There's a maid mask, a monk mask, a swimmer mask, and many others. Their titles refer specifically to their appearance and what each character was before putting on a mask. Other than a mask, there are other villainous forces at play who have the ability to control mask. These individuals are referred to as the ones closer to God. Their aim is to be the sole person with the power over the mask, which they use as a means of fighting others who have the potential to challenge their claim to power. The end goal for those closer to God is to become ruler of the world and to obtain a power that will allow them to reshape the world as they see fit. Now, something I was impressed with is the English voice cast. Usually dubs can be hit or miss. Not every dub can be Dragon Ball Z or some of the more notable English dubs. But this show's cast do a fantastic job. There wasn't a single character who I felt was miscast in any way. Each actor fitted their parts, and because of their performance, I enjoyed the dub during my 2-day binge. I honestly forgot that there was an option to change the audio to the original Japanese dub. That's just how much I was immersed in the English dub. So the animation here is top notch. It's not Demon Slayer levels of detail, but I love what the studio have managed to do for the show. The art style manages to capture the original manga's artwork with a few tweaks to beef up characters. In the manga, the girls look much more smaller compared to the full-figured look that they have on the show. This really helps the characters to stand out more than they did in the manga. It's impressive that this show is made by a studio that consists of 30 people. Zero G really outdid themselves. It makes me want to go back and look at some of their other work that I've missed out on. Action scenes are great and vary throughout the show. I love the close-range combat involving a variety of weapons, and the gunplay is another standout. Sniper Mask really takes the cake when it comes to his skills with a rifle. His action scenes are some of my favorite in the show. What I love about the show is the atmosphere it creates. The world feels empty, despite it being inhabited by humans and masks. This emptiness perfectly captures the world that our characters are faced with. The world is made up of mostly skyscrapers and suspension bridges, which is the only way to and from around the vast concrete world. The simplicity of the environment is beautiful yet deadly at the same time. Can you imagine being hundreds of feet up in the air and not being able to touch the ground? Well, unless you somehow fall off a building or a bridge, it's scary, especially if you're afraid of heights. So this is definitely one series to add to your Netflix watch list. It is a strong start to Netflix's anime rollout this year, and I can't wait to see what other shows they release. I really do hope that this gets another season, and we don't have to wait forever for it, like some of the streamers' other anime series. Anyways, folks, that's all for now. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed the show. Please feel free to subscribe, like, and comment below. And hey, maybe this wasn't your cup of tea. And that's okay. Just remember to take care and stay safe.